So let's talk about converting between grams and moles. This is a really important topic in chemistry because moles are how we count numbers of particles, how we count atoms and molecules in chemistry. And it's really important to have an idea of how many we have because we want to know how many we have to react. But how do we know how many we have? Well, we can't just physically pull one atom from another. They're way too small and it would take way too long. So the best way to count is actually by weighing. And so what we're going to talk about here is converting between grams and moles. And this is going to be very helpful. This video that I have here on YouTube is actually not my video. It's a Tyler DeWitt video, which I'll link to later if you're interested in watching that. You can search for Tyler DeWitt converting between grams and moles. Okay, so let's talk about conversion factors because this is how we're going to convert between grams and moles. So what are they? Well, they're a method of converting between units from one unit to another and how you multiply by a fraction. And the fraction has a different unit on the top and on the bottom. And that's going to allow us to convert between units, say between units of grams and units of moles. But the fraction has a value of 1. So what you're multiplying doesn't really change. Let's see how that works. So let's take carbon. The molar mass of carbon is 12.01 grams. You can look that up on a periodic table. 1 mole of carbon is 12.01 grams. Okay. Now, since we have an equation here, they're equal. What we can do is we can say, all right, suppose we divide both sides of the equation by the same thing. For example, 1 mole of carbon. Well, if we do that, look what happens on the right-hand side of the equation over here. We've got the same thing on the top and the bottom. This is going to cancel out, all right? So if this cancels out, we have 1 over 1, which is 1. So 1 equals 12.1 grams of carbon over 1 mole of carbon. It's the same thing. 12.1 grams is 1 mole of carbon. All right, let's take a look at this, but on the other side of the equation. All right, so same equation, 12.01 grams of carbon equals 1 mole of carbon. But suppose this time we divide by 12.01 grams of carbon. Whatever you do on one side, you can do on the other. So let's do that here. Well, obviously in this case, the left-hand side of the equation is going to cancel out. That's gone. And what we're left with is 1, because anything divided by itself is 1, equals 1 mole of carbon over 12.01 grams of carbon. So what we've created here are 2 conversion factors for carbon. One where the grams of carbon, the molar mass of carbon, is on the top of the fraction, or the factor, and the other where the grams is on the bottom. In either case, the moles is on the opposite side of the fraction. Notice, both of these conversion factors equals 1, and they both equal each other. So what we can do is we can multiply by this conversion factor, and we're not really changing the underlying value, the underlying idea of what we have. We're just changing how we express it. We're changing how we express something. Maybe originally it was in moles, it'll become in grams. Maybe it was originally in grams, and we'll express it in moles. All right, so let's talk about the steps that we want to do here. Oops, this is a little out of order. The first thing we want to do is calculate the molar mass and make it into conversion factors, just like what we did a moment ago. All right, next step, write your given value in unit. The given value is what's given to you in the problem. Now, it's super, super important to write your unit, so don't forget to write your units. Maybe you're given grams, then you're going to write grams. If you're given 12 moles, start with 12 moles. All right, next is you're going to set up your conversion factor, and this is important. It's how you set it up. The unit you want goes on the top of the conversion factor. The unit you want to cancel out goes on the bottom. And notice once we've done all that, then we'll do our math. All right, so let's go into an example here. How many grams is 11.6 moles of chlorine? Well, first thing we want to do is calculate the molar mass and make it into conversion factors. Well, we've got chlorine here, so let's go to a periodic table and look it up. 35.45, this number right here, right on the bottom of the square on the periodic table, that's the molar mass. So it's 35.45 grams per mole. Now that, of course, can be 2 different conversion factors with the grams on top, 35.45 grams divided by 1 mole, or with the grams on the bottom, 1 mole divided by 35.45 grams. Both are okay. It just depends on what we need to do. All right. The second thing we're going to do is to write our given. Now, what your given is here is going to be this here. All right. So this here, 11.6 moles of chlorine is what our problem tells us. So that's our given value. So we're going to start with that. That's what we're going to write down first. Okay. So here we go. 11.6 moles of chlorine. Now, we want to write our conversion factor. Remember, the unit you want goes on top, and what you want to cancel out goes on the bottom. So the problem says how many grams is in this. So we want grams. Grams goes on top. And notice we're starting with moles, so moles has to be canceled out. Moles needs to go on the bottom. All right, so that's how we're going to want to set this up here. Double check. Can you, in fact, cancel these out? Yeah. Moles on top, moles on the bottom, moles cancels out. So let's see what we're going to actually type into our calculator. We're going to do 11.6 times 35.45. And notice the unit that did not get canceled out is grams. So let's leave that there. When you do your math, you're going to get 411 grams of chlorine. So how many grams is 11.6 moles of chlorine? It's 411 grams. Okay, let's do another problem. And this one is going to be how many moles is 25.3 grams of NaCl? NaCl is sodium chloride. That's table salt. Okay, so step one is, of course, calculate the molar mass and make it into conversion factors. So this one here, we can't look directly at the periodic table. We're going to have to do a little bit of math because we have sodium and we have chlorine. So, of course, sodium's molar mass is 22.99. We've got one of them in NaCl. And chlorine's molar mass is 35.45. We've got one of them as well. So we just need to add these two together, and we'll get 58.44 grams per mole. Great. So let's make that into conversion factors. We could have the grams on top, 58.44 grams over 1 mole, or the other way around, 1 mole over 58.44 grams. Okay, so let's just keep those in mind as we go to step 2. So we got to write the given. That's 25.3 grams. That's this value that's given to us in this problem. All right. And now we're going to multiply it by our conversion factor. And essentially, we want to have the same underlying idea, but we want moles. Remember, what you want goes on top, and what you need to cancel out goes on the bottom. So we need to cancel out the grams. Grams goes on the bottom. We want moles. Moles goes on top. So we're going to have 1 mole over 58.44 grams of NaCl. Okay, let's cancel out the units. Notice, what we're canceling out here is the units. It is not the numbers. That's a common mistake that students make, is that they want to cancel out the numbers. Nope, it's just the units. Notice, it's just the grams of NaCl that are canceling out because we have grams on top, grams on the bottom. Okay, so let's do the math now. We're going to do 25.3 times 1, because 1 is on the top of the fraction. Whatever's on the bottom of the fraction is divided by. So divided by 58.44. And notice the unit is going to be moles of NaCl here. Type that all into your calculator, and what we're going to get is 0.433 moles of NaCl. So that's going to be our answer here. All right, so the best way to get good at this is practice, and you've got a worksheet where you can do some gram-mole conversions as practice. Good luck with those, and I'll see you on Thursday or Friday during your class.